The lie we've been sold, why visibility without power is just a better view of your own oppression. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Teresa Jones, a visionary advocate, leader, and truth teller who is shaking the earth beneath systems that have long ignored Black women's voices and contributions. And Teresa's not just making noise, she's making change, real, tangible, transformative change that's rippling through communities, boardrooms, and policy rooms across this nation. She is an earth shaker, a curse breaker, a mood maker, raising consciousness so our lives here can be much smoother. And what she shared with me, what we're about to unpack together today, is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about progress, visibility, and what it really means to be seen. Because here's the thing, we've been sold a lie. We've been told that if we just work hard enough, if we just show up, if we just lean in, if we just speak up, then the doors will open. We've been told that visibility equals equity, that representation equals power, that if we can just get a seat at the table, everything will change. But what if I told you that's not true? What if I told you that despite all the conversations about Black women in leadership, despite all the panels and the hashtags and the awards and the Instagram posts celebrating Black girl magic, the actual economic stability, the actual representation, the actual security for women professionals and entrepreneurs has declined in the last 2 years, not stagnated, declined. Even as the world celebrates diversity, even as companies post their commitments on social media, even as we see more Black women's faces in campaigns and commercials and boardrooms, the reality behind the scenes is devastating. Black women are losing ground, losing jobs, losing opportunities, losing the progress we fought so hard to gain, losing the dreams we sacrificed everything to build. Teresa Jones helped me see this with clarity, with data, with stories that will break your heart and ignite your spirit all at once. And what she's calling us to do is not just acknowledge the crisis, but to act collectively, courageously, and with the kind of faith that moves mountains. Let's start with what we think we know. We think that because we see more Black women in leadership conversations, in DEI initiatives, in media, that things are getting better. We think visibility is progress. And to some extent, it is. Visibility matters, representation matters. Seeing yourself reflected in spaces where you've been historically excluded, that matters deeply. It matters to the little girl watching. It matters to the woman who thought she was alone. It matters. But visibility without equity is just performance. It's a mirage. It's a beautifully decorated door that's still locked from the inside. It's a seat at a table where you have no voice, no vote, no power. It's being seen but not heard. It's being present but not protected. It's being celebrated but not compensated. Teresa shared with me research from Penn State School of Hospitality Management, a 2025 report that benchmarked the representation of women and Black leaders in hotel company leadership. And here's what they found: Black leaders hold only 2.1% of director to CEO positions. That's down from 2.2% in 2022. Down, not up, down. And while women's representation looks promising at the director level, it sharply declines at senior levels, despite women making up a large share of the workforce. The hospitality industry, like so many others, has long struggled with diversity at the top. And despite all the talk, despite all the initiatives, despite all the promises made in 2020 when the world was watching, the numbers are moving in the wrong direction. This isn't just about one industry. This is a pattern, a structural crisis. And it's not happening by accident. This is intentional. This is systemic. This is what happens when diversity becomes a marketing strategy instead of a moral imperative. Now, let's talk about what's fueling this decline. Following political pressure in 2024 and 2025, over 60 major corporations scaled back or eliminated their DEI departments. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, the very programs designed to create pathways for Black women and other marginalized groups, were dismantled. Mass layoffs followed. Mentorship programs disappeared. Advancement opportunities evaporated. And the women who had been recruited into these roles, the women who had been promised that their voices mattered, that their leadership was valued, that their presence would make a difference, they were the first ones let go. And who bore the brunt of this? Black women. Black women experienced higher rates of job insecurity, layoffs, wage declines. They were disproportionately impacted by the loss of DEI roles, the very roles many of them had been recruited into after the 2020 racial justice movement, the very roles they had poured their hearts, their brilliance, their hope into. Progress made in the wake of George Floyd's murder, progress that felt hard won and sacred, was rapidly reversed by anti DEI cost cutting and rhetoric that normalized workplace discrimination under the guise of meritocracy. Meritocracy, as if the playing field was ever leveled to begin with, as if centuries of exclusion, exploitation, and erasure could be undone by a few diversity hires, as if Black women haven't been proving their merit over and over and over again, only to be told they're still not enough. Teresa helped me understand that this isn't just about losing jobs, it's about losing hope. It's about Black women who believed the promises, who invested their time, their energy, their brilliance into systems that ultimately betrayed them. It's about women who did everything right, who got the degrees, who showed up early and stayed late, who smiled through the microaggressions and the isolation and the exhaustion, only to be discarded when the political winds shifted. And the impact has been devastating. Increased bankruptcy filings among Black women entrepreneurs, increased mental health struggles, increased disillusionment, increased trauma. Because when you've been told your whole life that if you just work hard enough, if you just prove yourself, if you just play by the rules, that you'll be rewarded, and then the rules change mid-game and you're left with nothing. That breaks something inside of you. But here's where the story shifts. Because even in the face of this crisis, Black women are not giving up. They're pivoting, they're reclaiming, they're building alternative pathways for leadership, advocacy, and entrepreneurship. They're turning survival into something sacred. They're refusing to let systems that were never designed for them define their worth or their future. Let me tell you about what's happening in California. There's a statewide organization called the California Black Women's Collective Empowerment Institute, and they are doing the work that systems refuse to do. They're focused on advocacy, leadership, and economic mobility for Black women and girls. And the challenges they're addressing are staggering. Black women in California earn 60 cents for every dollar paid to white men. 60 cents. One in four live below the poverty line, and their maternal mortality rates are 4 to 6 times higher than white women. 4 to 6 times. Let that sink in. Black women are dying at rates that should be unacceptable in any civilized society. And yet, the systems that are supposed to protect them, to uplift them, to ensure their safety and prosperity, are failing them at every turn. Black women are dying in childbirth in 2025. Black women are being paid poverty wages in 2025. Black women are being erased from leadership in 2025. But the California Black Women's Collective Empowerment Institute is not waiting for permission to act. Since 2023, they've published 6 research reports. They've trained over 1,400 Black women in leadership. They've provided financial literacy programs for nearly 600 girls. They've influenced policy. They've elevated Black women's voices in state level decision making. And they've helped increase the number of Black women in elected office to 243 statewide. This is what collective action looks like. This is what happens when Black women refuse to accept the status quo. This is what happens when we stop waiting for systems to change, child, and start building new ones ourselves. This is what happens when we stop begging for seats at tables that were never meant for us and start building our own tables, our own rooms, our own institutions. Teresa reminded me that individual resilience is essential, but it's not enough. We cannot self care our way out of systemic oppression. We cannot manifest our way out of pay inequity. We cannot boundary set our way out of policies designed to exclude us. We cannot pray away structural racism. We cannot meditate away economic injustice. Sustainable change demands collective action, advocacy, policy reform, and supporting organizations that center Black women's needs. It demands that we stop putting the burden of change on the backs of the very people who are being harmed. It demands that we recognize that Black women's liberation is not just a Black women's issue, it's a justice issue, it's a human rights issue, it's a moral issue. And here's the truth that Teresa wants every single one of us to hear: your story matters. Your voice matters. Your lived experience is not a liability, it's a source of strength. Black women who have faced adversity and shared their journeys have inspired new pathways for advocacy, entrepreneurship, and healing. They've demonstrated that their lived experience is not something to overcome, it's something to honor, to learn from, to build upon. This is the heart of soft girl era. This is what it means to release the cape, to redefine strength, to embrace softness, not as weakness, but as a radical act of self love and resistance, to protect peace as a practice, to turn pain into purpose, to refuse to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders anymore, to say no without guilt, to rest without explanation, to heal without apology. Teresa's work is a testament to this. She's not just talking about change, she's creating it. She's not just advocating for Black women, she's equipping them with the tools, the knowledge, the networks they need to thrive. And she's doing it with a faith that refuses to be shaken, a faith that believes God has a plan even when the world feels chaotic and unjust. So here's what I need you to take away from this conversation. First, visibility does not equal equity. Just because you see more Black women in leadership conversations doesn't mean they're gaining economic security, promotions, or power. The data tells a different story, and we have to be willing to look at it honestly. We have to be willing to call out the lie. We have to be willing to demand more than representation. We have to demand transformation. Second, systemic barriers require collective solutions. Individual resilience is beautiful and necessary, but it's not sufficient. We need advocacy. We need policy reform. We need to support organizations like the California Black Women's Collective Empowerment Institute that are doing the hard work of creating pathways for Black women to lead, to thrive, to heal. We need to show up for each other. We need to invest in each other. We need to protect each other. And third, your story and your voice matter. You are not alone in this struggle. Your lived experience is a source of strength, not a setback. And when you share your story, when you use your voice, you inspire others to do the same. You create ripples of change that extend far beyond what you can see. You become part of a legacy of resistance, resilience, and revolution. So here's my challenge to you. How will you use your voice, your story, and your influence to challenge the structures that limit Black women's opportunities? What collective action can you join or lead to ensure the next generation doesn't have to fight the same battles? This is not a rhetorical question. This is a real, urgent, sacred invitation because the truth is, we don't have time to wait. We don't have time to hope that systems will change on their own. We don't have time to keep playing by rules that were never designed for us to win. We don't have time to keep believing the lie that visibility equals power. We have to act. We have to organize. We have to support each other. We have to build new tables, new systems, new pathways, and we have to do it with the kind of faith that believes God is with us, guiding us, strengthening us, even when the road is hard. Teresa Jones is doing this work. The California Black Women's Collective Empowerment Institute is doing this work. And now it's our turn. It's your turn to step into your soft girl era, not as an escape from the fight, but as a recalibration for it. To rest so you can rise, to heal so you can lead, to protect your peace so you can pour into others, to release the cape so you can reclaim your power, to redefine strength so you can embrace softness, to turn your pain into purpose and your survival into something sacred. This is the sacred pause Black women have been waiting for. This is the deep exhale from the Superwoman script. This is the quiet but powerful return to softness, rest, self trust, and radical joy. And it's not just for you, it's for the generations coming behind you, watching you, learning from you, believing because of you. So I'm asking you today, right now, in this moment, what will you do? Will you keep waiting for permission to rest, to heal, to lead, to thrive? Or will you take it? Will you keep believing the lie that visibility equals power? Or will you demand equity, justice, and transformation? Will you keep carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders? Or will you release the cape and build something new? The choice is yours. But know this, you are not alone. We are not alone. And together we are unstoppable. Let's release the cape. Let's redefine strength. Let's embrace softness. Let's heal in real time. Let's protect our peace as a practice. And let's turn our pain into purpose, our survival into something sacred. The world is watching. The next generation is watching, and they're waiting to see what we'll do. So let's show them. Let's show them that Black women are not just survivors. We are builders, leaders, visionaries, and revolutionaries. Let's show them that our softness is our strength, our rest is our resistance, and our joy is our justice. Let's show them that we are done waiting for seats at tables that were never meant for us, and we're building our own. This is Soft Girl Era, and the revolution starts now.